Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who the Hell Asked. I am your host, Byron, alongside my co-host, Slade.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Nothing much. Hope you're doing well today.
Yeah, actually, I am doing pretty well today. I got this nice new headset that I'm using. Not a microphone headset, just for sounds and whatnot. But it's been pretty nice. It's been pretty nice.
Yeah, so Sony, the past couple of days, have just been shuffling out the news like it's going out of style.
Oh yeah, with their state of play, and then I think they had quite a few announcements on Twitter. There's some articles about some companies either being restructured or closed down.
Yeah. So let's start with obviously the state of play. So during the state of play, there were 10 games covered in about 30 minutes. Two of the games we are not going to mention, or only briefly. Crash 4, because we already knew it, and I forgot what the other one was. Oh, Deathloop.
And Deathloop.
Yeah.
I'll touch on Deathloop a little bit right here.
Okay.
Looks like a very interesting game, but it didn't look like we saw anything new compared to what we saw at E3. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, looks interesting. Probably not something I'll play, but like, it looks interesting. That's about the nicest thing I can say about it.
Yeah, and then Crash 4, it's like nothing much was covered that wasn't covered in the
Plus, we've
article.
also already gone over it a lot in our
Yep.
previous podcast. So,
Yeah.
well, let's not beat the horse even more dead than we already have.
Yeah, so the first game of importance that was shown off, this was the second game of the state of play, Returnal.
Yeah, so Returnal looks like a third-person shooter, roguelike.
Yeah, I was
looks really fascinating.
It has some roguelike. I can't fucking distinguish the two, but like that style of elements, because they said in the trailer, like, oh, when you die, like the enemies will change. I'm like, wait, what? Excuse me?
Yeah, and I got to see a little bit of the gameplay in terms of like you get new weapons and abilities whenever you go through it, so the loop's never the same twice.
Yeah,
It's kind of like playing Hades, but it's a third-person shooter, essentially.
interesting.
But obviously, I'm not claiming it's going to be as good as Hades or anything like that. It's just the comparison I'm making.
Yeah, you could say it's a death loop.
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna kill y'all with these puns. Oh, but yeah, it's interesting that they're kind of using like roguelite elements in this game. You would think this would be like, oh, your standard like third person game, but that kind of makes this more unique than we thought it would be.
Yeah, I definitely think it's really interesting that they're trying to bring roguelike elements into like shooters in general.
Yeah.
Considering that like you don't really see much innovation overall in shooters nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, and this is coming out soon. I think this is coming out in either April or May, I want to say.
yeah, I'm definitely going to keep my eye on it and try to see some reviews because I might pull the trigger on that because it looks really fun.
Yeah, Returnal is coming out April 30th. So in about 2 months? In about 2 months. Very, very interesting. So we got a game we have covered, but they covered more details. Ladies and gentlemen, Slade's favorite game, Knockout City.
Well, hold your horses before you sell it as my favorite game. It's still an EA title. I still have very healthy, cautious skepticism.
Yeah, as we all should, because this has EA attached to it. But yeah, so what they covered in Knockout City, there's going to be a 1v1 mode where the map shrinks after a certain amount of time, which is interesting. And there was also going to be a 3v3 team mode, which is also interesting.
Yeah, and there's also some elements where like you could pick up your teammate, you can use them as a ball, you could become the ball.
Yeah, you become the ball.
Honestly, that game continues to fascinate me. I think I'm definitely going to probably get this game. I do want to wait just a tad bit to see how the microtransactions affect the game overall, to see if like they're a major part of the game or if it's like, oh, well, you could play without them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just
Now,
need to see how predatory EA's practices
yeah,
are.
how is EA gonna fuck this up? But yeah, each map apparently will also have a unique mechanic, which is cool. Makes each map very interesting.
Yeah, I have to say though, from what I've seen so far, honestly, they've kind of sold me for the most part. It looks really good.
I will say, this trailer much better than the one we got during the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I kind of felt like we didn't get too much information with the Nintendo Direct trailer. We just kind of got like, oh, it's a dodgeball battle royale, and I'm like, that sounds like a cool idea, but like, I need to see more of it before
Well,
like I pull the trigger.
the only thing people were talking about that trailer was Princess Charm, who's technically not even in the fucking game. Which is ridiculous. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. But very interested. Surprised there is, at least as of right now, not a PS5 version. It is right now only, at least on PlayStation consoles, only available for the PS4.
Yeah, I imagine right now they're kind of testing the waters, trying to use the large install base of the PS4 and the Switch in order to see and gauge how well this kind of game's going to do. And I imagine if the game does extremely well or something, they'll probably port it up to the current gen consoles or something.
Yeah, it's just weird though that, like, because it would be pretty easy, I assume, to port a PS4 game to PS5. Just surprising me it's not on PS5 yet.
Yeah, and even then, I don't even think they have to like upscale its graphics. They just need to straight up port the game.
Well, yeah, because it's
and
gonna
then
be
like
already
you have
on
the great
PC.
load times. Yeah, you're already going to benefit
PC,
from load times.
But yeah, interesting game. Love the concept for sure. Like a dodgeball battle royale. It's a reason why I love Fall Guys.
Oh yeah,
an
for sure.
Interesting battle royale. Speaking of interesting, what was Sifu? Like,
so after watching some gameplay a little bit and watching the trailer quite often, it kind of reminds me of those old school beat 'em up games, like the gosh, what's that game called? It's one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games.
oh,
or
TMNT 4 Turtles in Time?
Yeah.
Really?
And stuff. Yeah, but like 3D. That's the vibes I'm getting from Sifu.
Oh, so basically the TMNT 4 remake then.
Yeah, sure, why not? I think that that's essentially what they were going for. Because at first I was like, oh, it's just a bunch of people beating the shit out of each other. Like, that looks okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But the more I looked at like how like the levels or the world kind of seemed to be like large hallways in general, I'm like, oh, you know, this is an arcade style beat 'em up, but like 3D.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a really interesting game. I would honestly need to see more gameplay and reviews because I've played a fair share of games where you just kind of beat people up. That's like the major game mechanic, like the Yakuza series, for example.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how well it's done. It's one of those kind of types of games in 3D where like either you really hit it or you just straight up miss it. There's really no in between.
Yeah, so this is made by Slow Clap Studios, the makers of Absolver. So that'll be interesting. This game is also coming out 2021. And you will notice a theme with most of these games coming 2021, which understandable because, you know, we're still deep in COVID, but...
Well, I think that's what the presentation was trying to get at, is most of these games are going to come out later this year. It's supposed to draw attention to things coming up this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. But an interesting game. Another, like, weird interesting game is Solar Ash. A 3D platformer about speed. And I jokingly said to myself while I was watching the State of Play, I'm like, Sonic? Is this Sonic?
I think the gameplay looks really fascinating for Solar Ash. I think there were some instances where it kind of felt like they took them out of the speed, where there was like these white ledge thingies where the character would just lose speed and then do like some sort of double jump up to land on the platform. I feel like if there's a lot of that in the game, that's going to take people out of the speed immersion.
Yeah,
Kind
because
of.
that seems to be what they're at least marketing the game as. It's like it's the 3D platformer with speed, like real
And
speed.
I think that kind of game can be like really fascinating
Yeah,
and fun to play.
absolutely. Because it's like, yeah, while Sonic is about speed, like this game seems to be more about the speed than even Sonic, which is hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah, honestly, when you think about like what Sonic has done since the adventure games and well, I guess more accurate to say colors with the boost formula and whatnot.
Yeah,
It kind of felt like they were catering more towards just running as fast as you can using like a boost mechanic rather than like actual platforming.
yeah.
And I feel like this game's more focused on platforming
Then
with
speed.
the
Yeah,
element of speed. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I like platformers. I will at least be on the lookout for this game if it ever does come to PC. I'm not sure if it's. I think it's confirmed to be a PlayStation exclusive, but maybe it'll come to PC one day because
I know some
we'll get to that later.
previously PlayStation exclusives have been coming to PC lately, but
Yeah, and we will be covering more of that later.
yeah.
But, but yeah, this is a very
we'll see.
intriguing game. Looking forward to it for sure. It is also coming 2021. So,
All right, what's the next game on the agenda?
okay, this one. I thought at first, okay, this is just like a generic horror game. No, this is a FNAF like first person horror game.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is back. And
Yeah, FNAF Security Breach.
I know a lot of the fans of that series are going to be really excited to play that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have never touched a FNAF game.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've actually never been a fan of horror games at all.
Yeah, that's
Like, I
fair.
understand their appeal, and I feel like they're a lot of fun for people, but like, maybe I'm just a bit of a wimp, but I've just really never enjoyed playing horror.
It's just like it's not the genre for me. The only horror game I've ever played in my life was Phasmophobia, and that wasn't as much like horror as like you normally would see in like a horror game. But it was
That
still,
was more just because like it was hilarious than it was like horror.
it had some elements of it. But
well, yeah, but I mean, like you play with like your friends and like you start memeing with each other, and then all of a sudden this ghost shows up. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, FNAF is back after how long? Like a couple of years?
yeah. I feel like it's been a little while, but as I said, I imagine a lot of fans are happy about it. It's probably one of the two largest announcements of the entire state of play.
Oh,
honestly.
Yep. Yeah. And it was like one of like I think 3, maybe 4 games that were revealed here. And yeah, this is definitely the second biggest reveal for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, that will be coming out in 2021. Hopefully sometime in October. Because it's a horror game. It just fits.
Yeah, it seems like the right time to release a game like that.
Yeah, or maybe you could get away with releasing it like at the end of September so that people have all month to play the game. So, from horror to aliens, it's Oddworld Soulstorm. Another game in the Abe's Odyssey series.
They called it a 2.9D platformer.
Yes.
Which is really, really interesting because at that point, I feel like you could probably call other games 2.9D platforming. Yeah, but
I guess it's got everything 3D except like your movement.
Yeah, but there's other games already like that, and we call those 2.5D platformers. So I don't know. I think it's just weird.
It's a unique marketing gimmick, and the game looks good. So. And shout outs to the DualSense because you can feel Abe's heartbeat.
Yeah, speaking of the DualSense, I feel like the majority of the games they were presenting really played up the DualSense controller
Yeah,
overall.
absolutely. Which
Seems to be a really big marketing feature for them.
yeah, absolutely. The adaptive triggers, like in Crash, they mentioned, oh, you can use like you can feel Cortex's pistol just
Yeah.
shoot, and so I do feel like more games will use the DualSense for better or for worse, depending on how it doesn't break the controller. Hopefully.
So going back to Soulstorm here,
Yeah.
it's also has consequence-based decision making.
Yes,
So if you
and that
do
is
something in the game,
incredible.
it alters
Incredible.
what happens later on.
Yes.
And that's always an incredible thing. I've pretty much been in love with consequence-based decision making ever since Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And I think more games that implement it just ultimately are better overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the first time, I think the first time, a platformer has really used consequence-based decision gameplay.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to seeing how this game does. It doesn't look like it's my cup of tea, unfortunately.
No,
But
it's leaning more towards my cup of tea because it's a platformer.
well, I mean, even though it's a platformer and I play platformers, I don't know if it's the aesthetic or what. It just doesn't seem like something I would enjoy a whole lot.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah,
But like I said, I think it's going to be a very fantastic game. I honestly can't wait to see how it does.
yeah, absolutely. It is coming out April 6th, and it's going to be a PlayStation Plus game in the month of April. So if you have PlayStation Plus, you get this game for free in April. Which, wow, did not expect that.
Yeah, that's really bold. That pretty much just sells the idea that they're just trying to get games on the PS5, because I think this is on PS5 as well as PS4, right?
No, this is PS5 exclusive.
PS5 exclusive. Okay, so this
Yeah.
is just trying to entice people to buy more PS5s.
Yeah.
So I think it's honestly a great thing that they're trying to put out some of these games for free.
Yeah, but good luck finding it. Good luck finding a PS5 right now.
Oh yeah, that's another thing we'll touch on towards the end of the.
Yeah, yeah. So, Kena Bridge of Spirits. This whole game popping back up again.
Yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit. This is a game I'm pretty interested in for the most part.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Jack and Dexter from like way back in the day, like the first Jack and Dexter game, not like the ones that came after.
Yeah.
But maybe without the
disagree.
collectibles.
Yeah. As someone who has recently, in the past couple of months, have played Jack and Dexter, I guess I could kind of see where you're coming from. But there's another game from Sony in terms of like, from what I saw with like the combat and like using your like bow and arrow. I got a more like Horizon Zero Dawn vibe, at least in terms of the combat.
I don't know. In terms of combat, I could see that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You're talking about an open world video game versus what looks to be a pretty linear game for the most part.
In parts, it kind of does look like an open world game.
When I was looking at the trailer and whatnot,
yeah,
there seemed to be like quite a few enclosed rooms and hallway designed areas.
Yeah,
there could be some open areas, but I'm pretty sure this game's going to be linear for the most part.
Yeah, I do like the look of the game.
Yeah, I do too. I'm definitely fascinated about it. If I had a PS5, this is probably something I would pick up for sure.
It's got that like animated movie look.
Yeah, I'm honestly a big fan of the art style.
Yeah. So it is coming out August 24th. So it is going to be a summer game. And finally, unarguably the biggest announcement at the State of Play. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade.
Intergrade, yep.
Yeah.
So this looks to be an expansion of Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's going to add Yuffie and some more story and whatnot. Kind of like a DLC pack, honestly. But this is a PS5 exclusive expansion. You
Yes.
cannot play it on your PS4.
Yeah.
Now, there's some great news that they brought up with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you bought Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4 digitally, then the good news is you get to upgrade to Final Fantasy VII Remake on your PS5 with this expansion for free.
And that was one of the biggest surprises of this whole thing. Like, you would think Square would be one of the few that are like, nah. But like, it's for free. You get to upgrade if you paid full price. Keyword, you got to pay the full price, but you get the upgrade for free.
Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. If you bought a physical copy of the game, then unfortunately you have to buy the game again in order to get the expansion.
Yeah, but that's like, physical players know that. So like,
and this isn't terrible news by any stretch, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is on PlayStation Plus for PlayStation 4.
Oh, yep.
If you get Final Fantasy VII Remake on PlayStation Plus, obviously you're not going to get the free upgrade on PS5.
Yep. Because of course not.
Yeah, so temper your expectations, everybody. This is honestly still really good news overall.
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious what the direction for Final Fantasy VII Remake was going to be. I imagine this is just going to be the only expansion for Final Fantasy VII Remake to kind of like tide us over for like the next few years. And then I imagine from there, they'll start working on development for Final Fantasy VII Remake, like Part 2 or something.
Yeah.
Because they still haven't left Midgar in the new expansion.
Yeah, so there are going to be some PS5 exclusive features, like a photo mode, which every game has nowadays, which I think
I'm honestly shocked the original didn't have, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, but it's probably, it's been in development for like a decade. It's probably been
That's true. They probably needed to really get it on the show.
Yeah, and also it will have normal classic difficulty, which I'm also surprised was not in the original release.
Well, I said this is why they're releasing it, this expansion and whatnot, because now they had the time to work on all those things. Yeah, and I imagine this is also riding one of the highs of Sephiroth being in Smash and whatnot. So just having more Final Fantasy VII related content is a good thing.
Absolutely it is. So this will be coming out on June 10th.
Yes. Non-related to the state of play news for Final Fantasy VII Remake, they released 2 mobile games, or announced 2 mobile games, I should say.
Yeah.
One of them is a battle royale game where you play as a soldier and you kill all the other soldiers.
That's just what Final Fantasy needs. Final Fantasy VII, I mean. Because apparently there's a whole new universe, I guess. I guess there's a Final Fantasy VII universe now. Like, what the fuck?
Mean, to be fair, there always was one, but, like, they weren't putting battle royales and shit like that in there.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the last thing Final Fantasy needs. A battle royale. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's definitely pretty odd.
What the fuck, Square?
And then another mobile game they're releasing seems to be a retelling of the original Final Fantasy VII story.
Interesting.
So it looks like they kind of like taken a different art direction where they kind of just retell the story of the original Final Fantasy VII. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any gameplay or anything like that. I think it was really just like kind of like what you would see from like one of those audio books with visuals or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's kind of what it reminded me of. But I don't know. Stay tuned for that. I guess really the only reason they would release something like that is because obviously Final Fantasy VII Remake is taking a drastically different turn with its story.
Yep, which some people love, some people hate.
So playing the original, looking at the original story, reimagining the original in any way, shape, or form would not be a spoiler for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about the northern crater being in Smash as a massive spoiler.
Oh, Lord.
Because Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to do something absolutely different, most likely.
Yeah. So overall, what did you think of the state of play?
I think I'm with the popular consensus that it was kind of underwhelming for the most part. I think the main thing is the state of play didn't appeal to the majority of people
Yeah.
because the majority of people do not have PS5s. So it's irrelevant to most people
Yeah,
because they do not have PS5s. Like,
yeah, but that's
PS5 owners are probably like really ecstatic and happy, even though like 90% of them are bots.
oh yeah, yeah. That whole thing, that's gonna be a shit show for years to come.
Yeah, but ignoring the fact that only the PS5 fans are really happy, I think there just wasn't a whole lot here that people wanted to see, like God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I imagine, like you were telling me before, we're probably going to see it at like E3 or Summer Games Fest or something.
Those are like announcements I could definitely see them saving for like a E3 Summer Games Fest, like somewhere in that time range event.
Yeah. So, what's your take on the state of play?
It was an all right state of play. I could have done without honestly having like Crash. I get why Crash 4 was there, but it's
They did show us some
like,
features
Crash
for
4
it.
I don't think should have been here, but like I get why it was here, and Deathloop shouldn't have been there because literally no new info was had about that
That's
game.
actually really interesting that they didn't introduce anything new outside of like, I guess, a new area or something. I don't know. They didn't really look all that fascinating.
Yeah, there's not even a new release date, but
yeah,
it was quick. It was quick to the point, and I like that. I think Sony has a good format. I think it will take another year or two for State of Plays to get close to the Nintendo Direct hype cycle.
I think for me, the only thing preventing State of Play from being on the Nintendo Direct, hype cycle or whatever, is just IP. Because the thing is, I don't think the format for State of Play is necessarily bad or worse than Nintendo Direct. Yeah. I would argue it's probably superior in some ways, actually. But the main thing is, people tune in Nintendo Direct to see new Mario games, new Zelda games, a Smash character reveal, or some high fucking, first party IP. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. But
people get excited for specific games.
Yeah, but Sony have those IPs. They have those IPs because they're
but they haven't shown them off in these State of Plays very well. Like, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of those IPs, as well as Five Nights at Freddy's. But like when you're talking about like their big hard hitting IPs, God of War Ragnarok, Nathan Drake series, Horizon Zero Dawn, I guess Forbidden West in this case.
Yeah,
those are the kind of games people are tuning into these State of Plays for. And when they're not there, they're going to be disappointed.
That's a fair point to make. And
these are also IP that don't release yearly, like Nintendo IPs do. Like, you're guaranteed to see at least one Mario spinoff every year.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, I do feel like they are going to get to a point close to the level of hype of the Nintendo Directs in the next year, probably.
Well, as I said, I'm pretty sure E3 is going to be really huge for them because I'm 99% sure they held back most of their major announcements for then.
Yeah. But even before the State of Play, Sony was popping off with some news. So, Sony confirmed on the 23rd that there is going to be a next generation PSVR for PlayStation 5. Thoughts, Slade?
Kind of expected to be on it. It kind of feels like Sony's really tied themselves to the future of VR. And I think they've done a pretty good job for the most part so far in terms of like building the platform for it and letting the developers who are passionate about VR like come to them and develop games for it. Like Half-Life Alyx, for example.
Yeah.
Fantastic VR game, right?
Yeah, that game was
I imagine Sony wants to continue to build up VR on their platforms so that once that revolutionary VR game comes along, they'll be the only place to play that type of game.
Yeah.
And they'll have a huge market.
Yeah, so some details about the new PSVR, PSVR, PS5, PSVR 2, whatever you want to call it. It will connect to the PS5 with a single cord to simplify setup and improve ease of use while enabling a high-fidelity visual experience. No more breakout box, and I bet you that's why there's a USB-C port on the front of the PS5.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I know some people wanted wireless for the VR, but I'm like, it's a
Easy
single
people,
cord.
we're not there yet.
Like, does it suck it's not wireless? Yes, but like they'll get there in due time.
I just feel like we're not there yet, and it's understandable why it's not wireless right now.
Yeah. Also, one of the innovations we're excited about is the new VR controller, which will incorporate some of the key features found in the DualSense wireless controller, along with a focus on great ergonomics. So that's exciting to hear. No more PlayStation moves from 2013. No more PSV Move controllers. So that's good to hear. And the biggest point, there's still a lot of development underway for our new VR system. It will not be launching in 2021. So at minimum, it's going to be 2022. And I bet you the reason they announced this is because there's probably developers that already have PSVR 2 dev kits.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think right now the future for VR in general is just looking really bright.
Yeah.
And Sony's getting ahead of the curve and leading the charge, so to speak.
Yeah. But do you think, now, from what I've read, the original PSVR attachment rate on PS4 was only 5%.
I think with it being much more simple to set up and whatnot compared to like the old VR kit.
Yeah.
It's all going to come down to IP in the end.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think PSVR reaches more than 5% of PlayStation 5 owners?
So let's talk about two different realities.
Yeah.
So reality A, they bring out some really hard-hitting IP, and they make like VR exclusive games that are like must play. Like let's say Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah.
Is VR exclusive.
Oh, okay.
That's going to make a lot of people angry, sure. But that's also going to entice a lot of people to buy PlayStation VR and to play VR, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine if Sony is willing to toss their IPs at VR and make some of those IPs VR exclusive, that's going to boost the VR attach rate for PS5s.
Yeah.
Now, that's one reality. The other reality is they don't do that, and they continue to do what they've been doing. I think they'll still increase off that 5% number based off of ease of setup. Because like you said, now it's just a single USB cord that they're using.
Yeah,
you don't
and I think the fact it's
have
releasing...
a box and like a specific controller or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think the fact it's releasing earlier in the lifespan of the PS5, I think that will help as well.
Yes. So I think PlayStation VR has a lot more potential right now than it did on the PS4.
Yeah.
I could see anywhere between 10 to 15% in this reality. If they're going to break that 15% number to get to even like 25% or something, they have to like develop major IP for it. It's the only way.
And I
think... Because really, in the end,
yeah.
IP is what sells pretty much anything in the gaming industry.
So I feel like it will somehow end up in a like chicken or the egg situation. People have to buy PSVR for there to be games on PSVR, but people have to buy the games on PSVR so that there's more games made for PSVR.
Yeah.
But there also has to be games people want on PSVR. And I assume there'll probably be some like regular games that have like VR modes. I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. Well, Sony continuing to pop off with the news. Last year, Sony had an initiative called the Play at Home Initiative. And a lot of companies had a similar initiative where they gave some stuff out for free to keep people at home at the very beginning of the pandemic. Well, it's back again. And yeah, last year we launched the PlayStation Play at Home initiative, offering up 2 incredible PlayStation games for free: Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, and Journey. This year, they are kicking it off with offering Insomniac Games Ratchet and Clank PS4, available for free from March 1st to March 31st. Hell of a game to give out for free.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that this is honestly a great thing. I think this is something Nintendo and Microsoft should be paying attention to, because not only do they have, the idea, oh, we're going to give everyone a free game to play for a month.
Yeah.
And people are going to get excited. They're going to play that game. They're going to enjoy it, whatever. It's going to create goodwill.
Yeah.
But they also have the publicity of also trying to do something to keep people at home during the pandemic and to try to help flatten the curve of the coronavirus.
Yeah, well, Nintendo had the perfect game, though. And they didn't need to give it for free. That was Animal Crossing.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. They didn't get all that positive PR from Animal Crossing, keeping people at home from the pandemic versus, like, this game's free. We're giving it to you so you will stay home. It just makes Sony look really good. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think there's a specific reason they chose Ratchet and Clank PS4, which is the movie game, which is a remake of the first Ratchet and Clank. I could see them choosing this to potentially build towards the new Ratchet and Clank on PS5.
Yeah, it also advertises the new Ratchet and Clank game coming out, because they get to play the one that came right before and be like, oh, now I'm really interested in the series because I got to play this one for free and I want to buy the next one. So this is honestly a really good move on Sony's part. I hope they continue to do something like this.
Yeah, and we
as
will
long
see
as the pandemic's a thing.
what other games they offer, because this is going to be going on for 4 months. So it'll go on from March to July. So it'll be interesting to see what else they offer as part of the Play at Home initiative.
So I'm going to make a hard read and make a prediction.
Okay.
Even though this isn't a prediction video.
All right.
I think God of War for PS4 becomes one of those games.
Ooh, interesting. I could see Horizon being one of them.
Zero Dawn, yeah, because it advertises the upcoming games coming out.
Yeah. Oh.
And to me, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
And so that would sell PS5s like crazy, even though they're selling like crazy anyway.
Yeah,
so,
if we had to choose a fourth one, what would the fourth one be? Since I think we both agree on Horizon and God of War.
See, that's a bit of a tough one. I'm not really quite sure, because at that point, those are most of their major IP that they've announced that they're developing new games for so far.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe they'll throw Last of Us 1 or something.
Yeah, Last of Us Remastered. They could do that. They could do that.
I could see that. But yeah, Play at Home is back. Great move from Sony.
Yeah, great move.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to our next bit of news.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 7 was delayed until 2022.
Yep. Because of COVID-related production challenges. So
that makes Byron right on one prediction and then wrong on another, which is unfortunate.
Yep. So, I predicted in the predictions video we did at the beginning of the year, 2 things partially relating to this. One, Gran Turismo 7 I thought was going to be an October release. I just threw a month out there. I'm wrong on that. But not just delays we've covered on this show, but there have been other delays. Partially probably because of COVID, and partially probably because of another reason Slade's about to mention probably in a minute.
Yeah. So, it's pretty unfortunate that Gran Turismo 7 is delayed, but, a delayed game, in my opinion, can only be a good thing. As long as it's not extremely delayed, like Final Fantasy 15 or like Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
As long as games don't get delayed to that ridiculous extent. Typically, it's just giving them more time to polish the game, make it better, finish it overall.
Yeah.
And it can only be a good thing. You know, we've probably said this quite a billion times on the show. We'll say it a billion more times. Miyamoto, a delayed game is eventually good.
Yep.
A rush game is forever bad.
Yeah. There is one other piece of news, if I can find it. So, there is going to be more PlayStation games heading to PC.
So this is really interesting considering I felt like the only reason Microsoft was so liberal with their IPs coming to PC and Switch is simply because the Xbox Series the Xbox One was not performing very well overall.
Yeah.
At least in comparison to the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. So what they were doing, they're trying to make money off their IPs by making them more widely available to other audiences, which is why you saw the Ori games on Switch, as well as Cuphead. Then you see like the Halo games all on PC. It's just something that made a lot of sense for them to do. Seeing Sony do it is really odd, considering they're pretty much on top of the world right now.
Yeah, they're on top of the world in terms of consoles. And yet, the first game that will be heading to PC as part of this, I guess, renewed push to PC is going to be Days Gone sometime in the spring. Interesting choice.
Yeah, so I imagine we'll probably see more like the article was saying, but it's a really interesting decision because, like I said, Sony's pretty much on top of the world. We know IP is the main driving force for selling any, platform to play video games on.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine, a company that's on top of their game and selling more consoles than anybody could ever ask for or wish for.
Yeah.
Would just remove exclusivity from a lot of their IP. But I think it's still good overall. A lot of people are going to be able to experience games that they otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
so
and they
that's
get
always
double
a good
money.
thing.
They get money from the PlayStation players, and then a few years down the line, they get the money from the PC-only gamers.
Yeah.
Which could, in turn, help their studios make more games that may eventually come to PC to make more games, and the cycle of life works the way it works.
For sure. So, now we're going to go on to a little bit of some tragic news.
Yep. All right.
I'll let you do it.
PlayStation confirms Japan studio will be reorganized. Sony Interactive Entertainment has confirmed the PlayStation Studio's Japan studio will be reorganized following reports that game development at the first-party developer will be scaled back. In a statement to IGN, Sony announced that Japan studio will be recentered around Team Asobi, the development unit behind Astro's Playroom. And I will read the full statement from Japan Studios. In an effort to further strengthen business operations, Sony Interactive Entertainment can confirm PlayStation Studios Japan Studio will be reorganized into a new organization on April 1st. What a date to choose to do that. Japan Studios will be recentered to Team Asobi, the creative team behind Astro's Playroom, allowing the team to focus on a single vision and build on the popularity of Astro's Playroom. So there are two angles to take this out.
So let's talk about the angle that's got everybody talking about the tragedy of the situation. More importantly, what's got Byron upset about it. So
not
means
upset, just like a sigh.
Yeah. So basically, this means that Japan Studios will no longer be working on any original IP of theirs.
Yes.
Which, to as many fans know, means there will no longer be Ape Escape whatsoever. Yep. Not that this is surprising, considering they haven't had a game since the PS2, but like, it's still tragic to see like the actual official nail be like placed in the coffin. It's like now they actually publicly posted the obituary and stuff like that.
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
So
no more Ape Escape.
Ape Escape.
No more Everybody's Golf / Hot Shots Golf. No more Wild Arms. No more of those weird, wacky Sony IPs that they may not have sold gargantuanly, like your Ratchet and Clanks, your Sly Coopers, your Jack and Daxters of the world. They were still games to have on there because it helped like broaden the audience for the console. And it especially helped them out during the PS1 and the PS2 era. But
All right, so what's the second angle you can take out of this?
the second angle, and we'll talk a bit more about both, but generally the second angle is the push for Astro. The second angle is they are putting all of the Japan eggs into the Asobi/Astro bucket. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
So do you think this is their attempt to kind of put Astro on the same like plane as like Mario and some of the other largest IP in the industry?
Yes, but I don't think this will work for a reason. So, I'm going to use a recent game as an example. Crash Bandicoot 4, a game we have mentioned quite a number of times on this show lately. Crash 4.
Also a formal rivals of Mario's also to bring up.
Yeah, and a Sony IP. That game, at the time, was successful. It competed with Mario. While it may have been a slightly below, it still competed with Mario pretty well back in the day.
Yeah, I competed with Mario and Sonic during
the remnants of Sonic at that point. But
Sonic was still kind of going. Yeah, you're right. Sonic was pretty much dead.
That was the Saturn in the fucking Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But Crash 4, Crash had his revival with the Insane Trilogy, which was $40. Now keep that price point in mind. This was $40 for 3 full remakes. So I think that price point kind of screwed over Crash 4. Because now they're charging the full big boy $60 for one game. And
yeah, I definitely think that hurt the initial sales of Crash 4. I can see why if you could buy 3 HD games at the price of less than a full price game.
Yeah.
And then you try to buy one for the same series, but $60, even if it's the latest one in the series.
Yeah.
People just aren't going to resonate with that overall.
Yeah, and like for platformers, mainly.
But I would actually argue that Crash 4's failure was more along the lines of the PS5 launch than it was its price tag.
Well, obviously, I don't think the price point was the only factor. There was, the next generation factor to that, the not releasing on Switch factor.
Yeah, and actually, that's a very good point because the Switch is going to sell Crash 4 It's About Time at $40.
Hilariously
that's
enough,
going to be a very interesting argument because I always felt like the Crash series was pretty much going to do well on Switch regardless.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're selling it at $40 means they're really invested in making it succeed.
Yes. But the point I was going to make is that for 3D platformers these days, there's really only 2 price points, unfortunately. There is I would say probably around $15 to $30 indie 3D platformers, which sell well at those price points. And then you have the Mario. Yeah, that's right. The Mario at $60, potentially down the road with the next Nintendo system, $70.
Yeah. And that's probably more because Mario's attached to the IP. And it's got that Nintendo level of polish that most 3D platformers don't have.
I do think that if they sold the Insane Trilogy at even $60, I think it would have sold well. Because you're getting 3 games for $20 each.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, but you're also talking about like a really old IP of games that a lot of old fans really loved. And because they have that really passionate word of mouth, it's going to get around everywhere. Versus a new game that nobody has a stated opinion on it yet. Other than, we like Crash, but that's about it.
Yeah, so what makes me worry for Sony wanting to give the Mario push to Astro is Astro's 2 prior games were not standalone flat platformers for full price. The first game was a PlayStation VR cult hit. It was like I heard people describe it as the Mario 64 for VR, which you can absolutely make the argument for.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then the second game, Astro's Playroom, is the Wii Sports of the PS5. It showcases what the controller can do, and it's a fun game. My concern is that there's going to kind of be the Crash Bandicoot, the Crash 4 effect, as I will dub it. The releasing a game in a series at a price point it hasn't been at either in a long time or ever. Which is my concern, because if they do want to push Astro, they're going to have to make it a full price $70 game, and there hasn't been an Astro game at full Mario price.
Oh yeah. So overall, this is a pretty ballsy move from Sony.
Yeah.
To kind of put all their eggs in the Astro basket.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I do agree that they do have a necessity to kind of create new IP to put on that level of, Mario and I guess old school Sonic and stuff like that. That's like a household name and really recognizable.
Yeah, and because Sony has seen big success with all of their Western studios. Spider-Man, 10 million. God of War, 10 million. Fucking Horizon, 10 million plus. Like, they've been seeing success. Last of Us, 2, success after success after success.
If you really think about it, like, most of their IP are kind of more mature in nature. And they're iconic, don't get me wrong. They're obviously, like, every bit as iconic as some of the greatest video game characters in video game history.
Absolutely.
But, like, it's not stuff that they're going to be able to market to, like, a super wide audience.
Yeah, and a point...
Because they're not suitable for children.
Yeah, and a point I want to make, and this has been a thing since probably towards the start of the PlayStation 3. They did not give PlayStation Studios Japan Studio the chance to even try to have a game on the level of those, because Sony didn't give PlayStation Studios Japan the marketing budget of the God of Wars, the Last of Us's, the Uncharted's of the world.
Yeah.
But you could say it's a chicken and the egg situation, because the games don't sell well enough for Sony. They don't get the marketing budget. But because they don't have the marketing budget of your other big selling games, they don't have the chance to become big sellers. So that you can put more market.
It's basically like the Fire Emblem situation before Awakening.
Yes.
Nintendo wasn't doing a very good job marketing any of the games whatsoever. They were all pretty much struggling to sell more than 600,000, 700,000 copies.
Yes.
And most of those were always in Japan.
Yeah.
Their worldwide sales always really suffered because they never marketed. Then they said, okay, well, this is your last chance to make a really high-selling product. So make a really good game. We're going to market it really well. And then Awakening sold like 1.5 to 2 million copies.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty damn accurate example. Like, Sony should have given the Japan studio the chance to fail on their own or succeed on their own.
Oh, yeah. Another comparison you can make is the Devil May Cry reboot before, Devil May Cry 5.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of it was also because there's a lot of negative publicity around, the fact that they made Dante like a smoker and smoking wasn't cool and like a bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing is they marketed that game and it still flopped.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's because, like, in terms of Sony just being nervous that, well, these games haven't sold well, so why should we market it, versus, like you were saying, it's a chicken or the egg situation.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's, I think, my greater point is that, like, Sony killed PlayStation Studios Japan because they didn't really give them a chance from the PS3 onwards. This has been a
in the end,
time
marketing
coming.
is necessary for any game to thrive. You can't just expect a game to succeed without marketing.
Yeah,
Like
or if it,
not every game is Among Us and
Yeah.
has the really crazy word of mouth that people have for Fall
Yeah.
Guys.
like my whole argument is they should have been given a chance to either succeed or fail on their own from the PS3 onwards. If they failed
Yes.
on their own, hey, do your restructuring. That's fine by me. It would still suck, but like I wouldn't have like this thought in my head that like you didn't give them the chance to fail or succeed on their own.
Yeah, as I said, that's just, I think in Sony's eyes, they're like, that's a lot of money lost on marketing. So even if like, well, let's just give them the chance to fail or succeed. I think in the end, that just wasn't a chance they were willing, a risk they were willing to take.
Yeah.
And at that point, we can't really fault a company whether or not they want to take risk or not. It's kind of like with Pokemon, for example.
Yeah.
Pokemon doesn't see a need to innovate for most of their games, so that might be a poorly aged example considering Pokemon Legends coming out.
Yes,
But,
we talked about that last episode.
Long story short, if they're going to sell more than 10 to 15 million copies for all of their games, regardless of how extremely little effort they put into them, then why should they put in more effort? It's obviously not required or necessary, so why do it?
Yeah, and one last announcement regarding Japan Studios. This happened probably hours before the official death bell came in. Masaaki Yamagiwa, the producer behind Bloodborne and some other games, has left Sony Interactive Entertainment as of probably now. He will continue to work on games. Many thanks to everyone. Quite a loss for Sony.
Absolutely. So I think it's not obviously like an evil situation, kind of like with the Hideo Kojima leaving Konami or something like that.
Yeah.
Evil's the wrong word.
It was
they left on bad terms, right? They clearly left on bad terms.
Yeah.
I think in this case scenario, it's just, hey, listen, this isn't working out. We should do what's best for both of us, just mutually part ways.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get to see what Mr. Yamagiwa puts out from here on. Yeah. I'm actually pretty interested in see what he does does next.
And so at the end of the day, the moral of the story is give your games the chance to succeed or fail like your other franchises. Put the marketing arm behind some of your niche franchises, and they will either turn into a DMC remake or they will turn into a Fire Emblem. That's all I have to say. Do you have anything else, Slade?
No, that's pretty much everything that I have overall. Like I said, it's just really unfortunate that things turned out the way that they did for Japan Studios. But all in all, it's just the nature of the business. There's not really much you can do. Yeah. As I said, the reason why Ape Escape, quote unquote, died, because it wasn't really a largely super successful franchise to begin with.
Yeah.
So expecting it to suddenly blow up out of nowhere is pretty unrealistic for the most part. And there's a reason why we didn't see one since the PS2.
Yeah, but still a sad thing. But yeah.
It is still sad overall.
But yeah, give your games the chance to succeed or fail on their own merits. This has been Byron.
This has been Slade.
And we will see you all next time. If you enjoyed it, like the video, dislike the video, comment below if you have any thoughts, and we will see you all next week for another episode. Good day, good night, and goodbye.